March is Reading Month and also Women's History Month, celebrating the impact of women authors like Endeah Canty on children's literature. Her books like The Magical Shell showcase Black and world culture to inspire young readers. And Endeah is joining us right now on the Splash Live right now. Endeah, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm really good. Happy to have you with us. We learned a little bit about you at the recent Black Expo just a few weeks ago.
Yes.
What inspired you to write children's books? I want to get into that.
My inspiration was my daughter. I never had set out to be an author or to be a writer or anything, but through just raising my young daughter and finding out that she was delayed in speech, finding out that she needed extra attention when it came to reading, when it came to word recognition and developing language, put me on this path of being a writer.
Wow, it's always things like that that put you on a path that you never realized you were going to take in the first place. And
I never guessed I would have been an author, never desired it. And through reading the books that were recommended for speech development, I realized there was no storylines that we could connect to and no characters that we could relate to either. And I said, why don't I just write my own books? And I did.
Well, you're already off to an incredible start. Your book, The Magical Shell, won a 2023 Book Fest award. Congratulations for that. Can you tell us about that story and what that recognition meant to you personally?
So I published my book December 2022. So it was mid-December, and by the time spring came along the next year, I said, why don't I just send it in and see if it'll win an award? I know my book is award worthy. And of course, social media somehow read my brain. I don't know how it does that, the algorithm, and it sent me the Book Fest awards. So I said, this is weird. And I said, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll submit my book there. I submitted my book there and I said, actually, let me submit my books to several places because I know I'm going to get an award. I just knew I was going to get an award on this book. I submitted it to 7 places, and 4 out of the 7 places recognized my book. The first one was the Book Fest Award, and they sent me an email saying, hey, your book won an award. And I was just like, wait a minute, I just sent it in. Is this a joke? I almost didn't believe it because it happened so easily. I'm like, does it happen this easily? And then I just got another email, indie authors, and another one, Book Excellence. And I'm like, this is like so bizarre that all these places are saying, hey, your book is being recognized. It won 2nd place, it won 3rd place, it won runner-up. And it was just like, okay, God, this is confirmation that this is exactly what you want me to be doing. I am on the right path, and nothing is going to stop me.
You certainly are on the right path. That is incredible, hearing about that path to get that award. And you're doing it with such incredible books, which are showcasing such diverse characters and cultures in literature. Why is it so important to be highlighting these different cultures and characters?
Well, I think it's a great idea. There's not a lot of stories written about boys. And when it comes to African-American boys, melanated boys, that's even less books representing those boys. So I have a daughter, and I said, let me make my first book about a boy, The Magical Shell, a book that everybody can relate to. It doesn't matter if you are a girl, it doesn't matter if you are a boy, it doesn't matter what your race or nationality is. Everybody can relate to just being young, fun, and adventurous, wanting to be at the beach, wanting to be in the water, wanting to discover the ocean animals. So I created little Johnny in The Magical Shell, and I said, it doesn't matter who reads this book, they'll be able to identify with this person, his personality, his character, his imagination, and everybody's going to fall in love with him. And I thought that was really important to do, especially now, right, with everything that's going on right now.
Well, everyone is falling in love with little Johnny, and they are loving the book. For those just joining us right now, we have Endeah Canty, a West Bloomfield author, joining us right now on the Splash Live for March Reading Month and Women's History Month. And Endeah, you emphasize positive affirmations and well-being in your work. How do those themes shape the stories that you create?
I feel like it's important important to allow children to discover who they are based on who God says they are. So, building up their confidence and their faith at a young age before they enter into the world and before they start believing what other people say they are, or identifying with what other people think that they are or who they are. So I developed activity books and storylines that help children be able to just be more comfortable with self-discovery and affirming faith and affirming confidence. So I developed I See God. This has affirmations in it. It has prompts. It has journaling, and it will allow anybody at any age, whether you're a child, adult, teenager, to be able to start focusing on who they want to be in a more positive way and making it happen in reality.
I like that. You're reaching out to not just the children, but also that there's something in there for the adults. That's really, really
Yes.
important. And hearing about everything that you're doing and this path that you're on, I'd imagine that there are several female authors and figures who have helped to inspire your writing journey. Can you list some of those?
So I never set out to be an author or a writer. So I never had somebody that I looked to inspire the journey. But since I've been on the journey, Miss Rowland, the author of Harry Potter, has been a huge inspiration. I do wish to make the magical shell into a movie eventually. And I look at her story and think about where she started and how just like that she was able to have her books made into a movie. And I'm just like, wow, that is a huge inspiration for me.
That's certainly right. Her books came a very long way. And I'm glad that you just touched upon the future for books like The Magical Shell, how you want to maybe turn it into a movie one day. And I want to ask, beyond writing, do you have plans to expand into other outlets, like maybe audiobooks or other forms of visual storytelling?
Yes, I plan on coming out with YouTube, so a YouTube series for multiple books. I wrote 9 children's books. So right now, the future of my business is to not only publish those books, but to turn Magical Shell into an audiobook and turn it into a series on YouTube and to look to find out where can this be made into a movie. So Magical Shell, I See God, and a couple of other books that I have in mind will be on YouTube. The Magical Shell will be a series, so there'll be a couple other books that are written about little Johnny. I See God is also going to be a series, and the books that I wrote about my daughter is going to be a series. So those are the 3 books that I want to turn into series on YouTube, audiobooks, and then as far as movies, specifically The Magical Shell.
Wow, it's incredible to hear about all of these great plans you have coming up. We are running short on time, Endeah. I have one more quick question before we wrap things up. For parents who are looking to encourage their kids to read a little more, what advice would you give to make books and storytelling a bigger part of their lives?
Buy the books, take them to the library, let them pick out whatever book they want to read, get them surrounded by books, and just make it a daily habit to read every day. It becomes more about the quality of time that's spent and what you guys are discussing more than reading. And that's kind of what helps develop the love of reading. It's the conversation within the books. It's the different storylines you get to talk about. It's the one-on-one time. So it's really about the whole experience rather than just the reading. So make sure when you do the reading, you create a nice experience around it as well.
That's right. Make it a very immersive experience for the kids. That's such great information and great advice. Endeah, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.